Good early afternoon, everybody. It's a lovely Sunday in the apocalypse, and I'm here with my good friend Celestia, co-host of Squaring the Strange.
Hi, Babe. Hi, everybody.
And we've just been, of course, chit-chatting about. Somebody, Leslie just asked new music. There are a handful of little video intros that are available on Restream, and I've just been hunting for one that doesn't sound like you're about to have the most intense live stream ever. One of my housemates, because I have a bunch of musicians, one of my housemates was like, all right, I'm gonna watch a few of your streams and go through some of your stuff and see what your stuff feels like, and then rate you a theme song. I'm like, hell yes.
Yeah.
I want a theme song. So eventually I got a theme song.
Yeah, that was a little Carmina Burana kind of intense. Yeah. I could imagine exiting an airplane, exiting the helicopter and walking out up the White House steps triumphantly to that.
Woo, speaking of, we're starting this off spicy. I like it. So let's talk about some COVID and politic things, because that seems so let's start with some of the things that have been said about COVID by spurious sources.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with we have a vaccine, which was said by Eric Trump, which we do not.
We have a bunch of potential vaccines.
Oh yes, but he was trying to refer to Regeneron as a vaccine.
It's not even what they have. That's a treatment.
Yeah, and I mean it's a little worrying that there are so many different ways that misinformation is being spread, and it's very insidious. But describing because there's a lot of confusion about how antibodies work, and it's we're giving someone antibodies via this medication, it must be a vaccine. This is not helping people understand what's happening by saying this is a vaccine. It is not.
Or saying it's a cure, which is Trump saying repeatedly it's a cure. Saying this is a cure is like saying aspirin is a cure for the common cold. No. It's a treatment. It's the thing you can take.
It's the thing that makes you feel better while you have we don't know what here's the thing. There's a lot that we sincerely do not know about Trump's case of this. We don't know. We still don't know if he could take a turn. We don't know. They were very oblique about, or they lied.
Yeah, they were a bunch of lying liars.
They were lying liars who lied. They were definitely trying to obscure any results of his lung scans. They said, quote, expected findings on the lung scans, which that's, why not just say his lung scans were either clear or his lung scans had infiltrates?
They were there. We saw the lungs. We expected to see a pair of lungs, and we saw a pair of lungs. So expected results. What's the doctor's name? Dr. Scott Conley, the one who's been talking about Trump's
case. God.
On the podium,
this fucking guy,
referring to HIPAA and saying he's not going to give out anything private, when Trump has touted from the mountaintops every negative test he's ever had up until about a week before he was diagnosed.
I feel like the president's health is I get it. HIPAA is a thing, but also this is the president's health, and it affects our national security.
Yes,
and our this affects we need to know what state he is in, and I think especially going up to an election, I know the people that are still here, and as always, I implore you after this to go make sure you're still registered. Once you go register to vote. Ask a friend who hasn't registered to vote. I ask you every week, get a friend to register to vote and get them to vote. I love you. Please, if you cannot support me monetarily, please go and sign up for Patreon. If you cannot do that, please get a friend to vote. That is all I ask.
Yes,
but man. This is a fun nightmare.
Well, yeah, we live in interesting times, as they say.
You know what? I want to live in precedented times. I want to live in times when news anchors are going, this has all happened before. This is all completely precedented. I've seen this before. This has all happened.
And this is important for your podcast, for your live streams, for your Facebook efforts. You are SciBabe. And I just want to call attention to the fact that not only has Trump wounded American progress in science just by simply gutting various, taking away the pandemic response team, gutting various scientific bodies. You've got a little cat creeping up behind you.
Oh yeah, I've got this is Oliver, and he is my kitty who likes to drool on me, and also likes to play fetch, and also gets very shy when I give him. He's like, "Mama, why are you hugging me right now? I didn't want any attention or love." As you can tell, he's very happy that he's being held right now.
Yes, I love the little How to Train Your Dragon eyes he has. Yeah.
He's sitting right here, still getting scritches.
Very nice.
So he's obviously very upset at me. So,
but much like your cat, though not in as adorable a way, Trump has also completely distracted all of our scientific efforts because and I read something in the Atlantic about this as being one of the most dangerous things about this administration is, you might call it Trump derangement syndrome, but he's caused everybody to have to do all this busy work. It's like if you're a teacher and you're in the process of teaching algebra and you get a kid that comes into the class and he's completely allowed to just scream at the top of his lungs, 2 + 2 = 5.
And you have to explain to the class why 2 + 2 is 5. And you have to prove that 2 + 2 isn't 5 every time.
But why? Yeah.
And then afterwards, why isn't 2 + 2 6? Fuck,
yeah. So now we've got like the New England Journal of Medicine and Scientific American have, for the first time ever for both of them, come out with a political endorsement.
And I've had people, like when I posted those, I had people comment back to SciBabe, why are they degrading themselves? Why are these magazines bringing themselves down to this level? It's like, maybe instead of looking at it as scientists are bringing themselves down to this level, maybe look at it as, oh shit, this is such a threat to science as a whole that they see themselves as having no other choice. Like, they didn't do this when it was Mitt Romney or George Bush or any of the other or a lot of other Republicans who had some non-scientific views. This is different for a lot of reasons, and like it's as to your point about running every time he says something, having to run cleanup. Like I see this with each of his insane things. I'm like, all right, this is going to chew up a news cycle. Like the worst part about it is never like the dumb thing that like 90% of us know, 95% of us know is dumb. The worst part of it is watching Anderson Cooper and the rest of them going through like 16 think pieces about what it's like. Is it true that Nancy Pelosi has children in her basement that she's sucking adrenochrome out of? Let's look at the evidence. Like, why are we even doing this?
I am angry that I had to learn what that was. I am angry that the fact that it made news meant I had to look up what that shit was. I can curse on this, right?
Oh, it's curse. Quick comments because a couple people are asking about my internet speed. I'm plugged into Ethernet, guys. Blame Spectrum, okay? I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry. So, but it's you were saying, sorry.
I'm just upset that I had to find out what that was. And part of what we do on my podcast is we do a lot of media literacy. Yeah. And I think you just mentioned on your stream recently that there's science and there's media literacy. Yeah, and we've got this like critical juncture of the two.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is something it was on my personal page actually that I said this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, and it's because like the number of times that someone will say, "Oh, all we need to do to fix the anti-science sentiment of the world is make everyone understand the science, get everyone fix science education." No, we need to fix. We need people to understand the media landscape that we're in here, because if people can understand propaganda, if people know to fact check everything they read, if people can see the language that's obscuring, if people know that they have to fact check all the things and can like kind of can sniff out disinformation, then you'll have a better populace. But science is not going to safeguard you from that.
It even goes beyond mere fact checking. It goes into what are the markers of something that is a press release as opposed to an actual legitimate summary of a study?
Yeah.
What are has this been through an intern who punched it up to get more clicks? This, are people cherry picking? Because you can fact check.
Oh yeah.
You can fact check something that's been cherry picked, and all the little facts will check out.
Oh yeah.
But if you're ignoring this mountain of other stuff that the experts know about, and they're like, well, you might think this because of X, Y, Z, but then we've got A through T over here that contradict that, and there, I think trust has really been eroded.
Oh yeah, like
people don't believe. I mean,
it's like the number. You always give the example of one day coffee's good for you, the next day it causes cancer. One day red wine's good.
All of science should go into the trash can. Yeah,
and like here's one that I like to bring up. Like alcohol, there is people think that red wine is good for. Red wine is not good for us. The alcohol is not. Alcohol is a carcinogen, and like there was a study, and I love this one. There was a study that brought some headlines out. So the study is one thing, the headlines were another. The headlines were that drinking a glass of wine was the equivalent of an hour of exercise.
How do you even...
I was like, number one, how are they measuring this? Number two, why was I not informed of this when I was training for a marathon? That could have saved me so much pain. Wow. But I hunted down the original study because obviously, this came from a study, and I'm like, something got fucked up from scientists to university press release to headlines to Al Roker saying, I'll drink some wine. There's something got screwed up in there. Yeah. And what happened was they were studying the effects of resveratrol, and it was like they were using it for people who had difficulty exercising due to injury or old age or immobility to see if it could mimic some of the effects of exercise. You needed to drink, some of the physiological benefits of it. You needed to drink the amount of in order to get the amount of resveratrol you needed for that effect. You would need to drink between 100 and 1,000 bottles of wine.
Oh. So it wasn't a glass.
I'm just saying I'm up for a challenge, but somehow between the scientists and the headlines, it went from you need to take a supplement of resveratrol to get some of these effects for people who are immobile to a glass of wine is equal to an hour of. And I look at that and go, of course people don't trust what they're reading in the headlines. Like, and we're a part, not me, I'm perfect in every way. But science reporting that's that lazy is a big part of the problem.
Well, there's lazy and there's also underfunded.
Yes.
Nobody is subscribing to paper and to newspapers anymore. So, I mean, I've got a good friend who was a journalist for 20 years, a very good journalist, and they sacked him and replaced him with two interns that cost the paper nothing because the paper. They can afford what they can afford. And so, that's another thing. In addition to supporting your favorite science communicators like SciBabe, give her some stars. Kick your favorite newspapers a subscription fee. I'm very proud to pay the subscription to my two favorite papers so that I can read all the articles I want online, and they can continue to pay their investigative journalists. And
subscribe to your local, subscribe to the ones that you read a lot. Like I mean, as much as I occasionally complain about like an editorial in the New York Times, I use them for my work so much that it would be supporting them is the thing that I have to do as a responsible journalist. This is thank you for your work. Here is money.
Because it is work.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I feel bad like when I post an article and people are like, it's paywalled, and I'm like, probably because you've used their product enough in this month that they deserve some pay from you.
Yeah, crazy.
Just a thought, and that's just some. Anyways, So anyways, you and I have both been doing a lot of baking to survive this apocalypse. What have you been up to lately for baking? We're just taking a quick side tour from COVID because we can.
The latest thing I baked, they sort of ended up, a friend of mine pointed out they ended up looking like trans pride cookies, which is awesome.
I love it.
I found some vanilla chips on clearance that were like light blue and light pink swirled together. They're vanilla chips.
Nice.
And they were this very specific trans colors, almost on purpose. It's great. And I baked those into chocolate brownie cookies, and they're fantastic.
Nice. Let's see. Yesterday I ventured into, I made homemade salsa for the first time in my life. And now all I want to do is destroy my intestines with the amount of serrano peppers I put into that, because I am like, as much as like, I love the spiciness on my tongue, but my stomach is out of an old person who is on anti-inflammatories that's eating away at my stomach lining. I'm like, it's so tasty. I'm going to destroy myself on it.
See, I'm of the age where a lot of the ladies in my peer group are complaining about how they can't eat. You know, they're getting indigestion a lot more, and all the guys are taking up power washing. That's my age group.
Power washing.
That's my age group. When a lot of the guys start getting really into power washing their driveways, and the ladies are like, I can no longer eat anything with garlic. You know.
Garlic? That's a new one.
Yeah,
I did not realize that was the one that was going to. Wow, I guess I'm a few years away from that one.
Oh, I can eat it.
Okay.
I'm I guess lucky. I can eat most everything, and I'll have you know, although I started the pandemic fat, I have not gotten fatter. I gained a little bit, and then I took it off, and then I gained a little bit, and I took it off.
That's what I've been doing. I've been like up 5 pounds, down 5. It's like I'll kind of be like, man, these leggings that could never possibly get too tight on me, like, are stretching a little further. Look, I'm not putting on jeans until the end of this thing. I don't want to do it. But like, I'll hop on the scale. I'm like, okay, it's 5 pounds. A week later, it's back down. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep on checking in once in a while on the scale. And that should be fine. But like, in order to get into the vaccine trial, I had to be at a healthy weight, or like within a certain amount. Like, I think you could be technically overweight, but not obese. So like, it was really the 2 people signed up for it that like they were weighing, like, doing your height and weight in a room with a room full of people. Wow. 2 people got kicked out.
Oh,
showed up, and it was like, and they didn't even look that big. So I just we do not have a good eye for like estimating someone's BMI by looking at them is not an easy thing.
No, you got your dream came true. You got an early vaccine, possibly, or a placebo.
Maybe. Yeah.
Now, how did that go? How did they administer it to you? Was it a shot in the arm?
I talked about this a little bit last week. Sat down and did a quick little Facebook Live talking all about So you get in there, do a quick interview to make sure that you're eligible. They go through and ask you and obviously take your height and weight and make sure that, like, it's basically if you're over or below a certain weight, it's not going to work correctly in you. Make sure that you don't have any autoimmune conditions, all that good stuff. Afterwards, they did a COVID test, and they didn't do the brain test. And they sat there warning me so much and being so nice and be such kid gloves with me. Oh, this is they're trying to tell me it's gonna hurt a little, and it's just into the nostril. They didn't go into the brain. I'm like, somehow I've gotten, like, I think 3 COVID tests now, and none of them have been into the brain. So
maybe your brain is so big that it's like edging into your sinuses and poking almost out of your nose, and so they just had to go right up there.
Exactly, just big brain, big brain. But like they get a COVID test, and then like they have these boxes that are just labeled biohazardous material boxes, and in them is your shot, and no one fucking knows what I got. And it's like, it's weird because like my arm kind of hurt for a little bit, but like I got really no side effects. Like someone who worked for Janssen reached out to me because big enough platform that some people from the company follow the page, and someone from Janssen reached out and was like, hey, if you have any questions. And I'm like, can I pull some strings and get the vaccine? They're like, no.
Well, that's good. That's
good.
Exactly.
That was what I wanted for it. Like, I wanted the vaccine, but I also did not want. I'm glad that given what I do for work, I can tell people, hey, you can't pull any strings no matter who you are.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, this is how strict the people who work at the company who run the trials can't look. They don't know if I'm this is a person who contacted me runs. I think she was running the trials out of Austin and Dallas, I think she said, or Peoria, Austin and Peoria, I believe she said. Could not see it until I basically said she can't see until I leave the trial, which one I was in.
Now, here's a question. Are your odds 50-50, or because of the ethics of this and the fact that, they don't want to have a whole lot? It is 50-50. So they're not giving like 80-20% or something like that.
I'm surprised they didn't do 80-20. Like, that seems like, why do 30,000 people need to get the placebo? Huh? Why not just 10? Like, you're getting 60,000 people to sign up. Give more of them I don't know. I have no idea. It would be, but like, if somehow I got the vaccine. But the good news is, because like I looked into this vaccine a little bit, and different vaccines are giving you different ways of fighting this thing off. It says this one apparently produces, quote, wild type SARS-CoV-2 antibodies, and I'm like, does that mean it will show up in a in other words, like the type that typical yeah. So I'm like, maybe this will show up on an antibody test, and they're giving us an antibody test at the site, and I don't know if they're going to tell us what those results are. So I'm just going to go get my own antibody test and see what happens. So,
well, let us all know, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was to say that gives us a fun segue into people who are refusing to get tested and who work in politics and still want to be in the same room as other people. So it's been interesting watching that never mind just the White House, but like Lindsey Graham refused to get a test before what was going to be. Did you hear about that?
I did not, but so, I've heard he's being
it's Lindsey Graham. Like Lindsey Graham was going to be, he was going to have his second debate with Jamie Harrison, who destroyed him in the first debate, and Lindsey refused to get a COVID test. And basically the rumor is either he has COVID, or like the possibility is because he's on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Basically, and he wants to make sure he can get in and vote.
Yeah, all the people who
die of COVID, but I'll save all those unborn babies.
Yeah, because Lady Graham is very concerned about abortion.
Well, and you got to wonder if there's some sort of playbook going on here, because Trump refused to participate in the second debate because it was going to be virtual by decree of the debate committee.
If I
have to do it on computer, I'm not going to do it. And now Lindsey Graham is like, if I have to get a COVID test to debate, I'm not going to do it. Well. Y'all are just looking like a bunch of pussies that don't want to debate anybody. And I'm having a lot of fun being allowed to say words like pussy and asshole. On your stream. I can't do that on my podcast.
It's great. I highly recommend the word cunt. I think that we need to take it back. I think because look, there are people who don't like that word. I'm like, cunt is my favorite body part. I use mine every day.
Have you heard Carl Urban say it on The Boys? He does it so well.
That is a show that so many people have recommended to me and said you're going to love it, and I have no good reason why I haven't watched it yet. Now that I know Carl Urban says cunt in it, I'm gonna watch it immediately.
Yes, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but there was part of one episode where he's giving advice to a little kid, and then he goes, "You remember what I told you?" And the little kid goes, "Don't be a cunt." So
there was almost Diet Coke up my nose there, but so I've been most of the time I've gotten better about drinking mainly water. So I want to give a quick little not related to anything story, and then we'll get back to Republicans being dumb about a deadly disease. So me living in a commune and moving in here and us cleaning this place out. Occasionally, I've learned from this house just like having people like moving in and out and leaving stuff here forever. Occasionally, after cleaning out families of possums and jars of urine and other shit has happened in here in the last year. Like, there's a reason why I needed to go to therapy. But it's one of the things that popped up, and I'm just going to show this because I'm so happy about it. Someone left a mini fridge, and so now I have a desk fridge, and I am far too happy about it.
Oh, you're like every college student's dream.
Oh yeah, so now I finished this Diet Coke, and guess what? A second one that I had ready to go because I have a desk fridge. And here's the thing: I live on the third floor, and that is 3 floors down. Anytime I want something that is you've
not been able to train Psy Dog into going up and Saint Bernarding one down to you on his little collar or anything.
How to phrase it nicely. Science Dog is as dumb as he is cute, and he is so fucking cute. So I have never tossed him a treat that he's caught in his mouth.
Oh, they just boing,
just
boing. Yeah,
toss a treat, looks up at me, walks over slowly, investigates. He's a slow moving little. Somebody in the comments just asked why not Coke Zero? It's tastier. Hey, that is subjective, and you are right. I'm gonna say two things that are in direct contradiction with each other. Number one, that is subjective, but number two, you are wrong.
I'm with you there. My husband likes Coke Zero, and I have always preferred the Diet Coke to Coke Zero.
Here's the thing, like I don't drink Diet Coke because I want the taste of regular Coke, but without calories. I drink Diet Coke because I like the taste of Diet Coke, and Coke Zero tastes like regular Coke, and so I don't like it. And here's the thing: I think if you were raised on regular, you like the taste of regular better, and if you were raised on diet, you like the taste of diet better, and that's just kind of that's how it works. And there are some sodas, like there are only a few sodas that I really, really like the taste of regular, like Jarritos tamarind soda. It's really, really I've
never heard of it.
It's a Mexican brand that like you can if you go into a taqueria out here, like it's so good. But yeah, tamarind soda is it's my one favorite sugared soda that I'll have a couple times a week.
I've had tamarind candy, but I've never had tamarind soda.
It's so good.
This might be a generic witch cup here, but this is actually filled with Diet Coke.
We're having Diet Coke together from a car. I'm so happy.
I have to drink it from a cup because we get the 2-liter bottles because they no longer make caffeine-free Diet Coke in the aluminum cans right now because of the aluminum can shortage because of the supply chains. So all of the lesser bought soda products are no longer available in cans. So rather than buying, the 12 packs of cans, I'm buying the 99 when I can get them.
You're being more economical.
Buying the 2-liter bottles. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my one reason I have cans. I'm like, this is my treat to myself for like with I finally have a fridge and I want some Diet Cokes in it. I feel like a real human, but like I know myself. If I have Diet Coke in the house, I destroy it. But lately, I've gotten better about not drinking it after like 2 p.m. because I finally, after years of shooting myself in the foot, of getting insomnia from drinking caffeine too late, I finally stopped doing that.
Crazy how
behavior modification only took 37 years.
I avoid the caffeine for a couple of reasons. I don't get them very often, but when I do get a migraine, it's one of those ones that like fuzzes out my vision and just like, okay, forget it. I'm going to be useless for the next like 2 hours and I have to lay down. And luckily they only last for a few hours. They don't last like 2 days like I've heard some people. But but caffeine is a weird drug. And I was lucky in that when I first got diagnosed with migraines, I was working for Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and my health insurance sent me to the best doctors in the world. So I saw one of the leading audiologists, neurologists, and ophthalmologists all in one guy. He was a triple doctor.
Oh, wow.
And there were people who had driven in from Chicago to see him, who'd been waiting for a year to see him. And I just got in because I worked for the place. And,
Nice.
And he diagnosed my migraines and he told me I had migraine associated vertigo, which really sucked because when I got a migraine, the world would spin and I would fall down and hang onto a chain link fence.
My God.
And then get taken to the ER and they'd wonder if I had a stroke. But it was just migraine associated vertigo. And he gave me a beta blocker for a while. And one of the things I learned about caffeine was if you are on a steady drip of caffeine, it raises your chances of having a migraine. But if you're in the middle of a migraine and you get a jolt of caffeine, it can kick it away. Yeah. So it's almost like
neat little vasoconstrictor.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, when my headache started, because it's permanent stupid fucker on the left side of my head, like, because we didn't know what type of headache I had. Like, we were just throwing whatever we could at it. I would down, those giant energy drinks, like the ones that like you twist off the cap and it opens with a ka-chunk. I would go through like 2 or 3 of those in a day. Like,
oh my God. I'm glad your heart still beats regularly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's technically, it was like barely not, it was definitely too much caffeine a day, but like there was nothing that was making my headache okay. It was just permanently the worst pain I'd ever had in my life, and no doctor was managing it well. So caffeine helped. What else was I gonna do?
I think America is full of people who self-medicate because that's what we have to do.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it is doctors not listening. A lot of it is I mean, it was sad because like the number of times I was told this is all in your head, or just exercise and cut down on the caffeine and it'll go away. I'm like I lost 90 pounds and ran a couple of marathons and tried cutting down on caffeine, still had a headache. So medical care in this country is fun. Speaking of medical care in this country, isn't it fun that they managed to cure one guy and he thinks that there is a cure and he wanted to come out and
he believes he's immune now and he has a glow about him. He said he has a glow, and I was like, is he going to say he's pregnant tomorrow?
A glow?
Yeah.
Is he mixing up a glow with with having gone full Dolezal with the amount of
oh my god, he looked very zombie like. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question because I don't I don't know, as I can take a picture and kind of with the amount of software that I'm familiar with figure out if perhaps it was edited. I cannot look at those videos and tell if they were green screened or not because there's something weird about them.
Yeah,
they don't look like he was outside.
The first one he did outside, the thing that I noticed, and
yeah.
I can speak to this because I'm a bit of a face.
Yeah,
it's what I do for a living. I look at faces.
Yeah.
He had his number one in the sunlight. His makeup in the sunlight looks weird anyway because when it's in sunlight, you can see how artificial and yuck it is. Yeah. And it looked darker, and also his cheeks. Now he's normally kind of bloaty, he looks like he's too inflated up here. Yeah. But there were contours that were not put in there by, contouring makeup. It was just, he had sort of these sallow sunken areas in his cheek areas that the sunlight was kind of hitting and making shadows out of. And I'm like, we've been looking at a fresh pumpkin for so long, and now it looks like the pumpkin has rotted. And
it's like we're not conspiratorial people at all. We're trying to just look at this and go this. It's just that there's something off about the videos, and we're not sure what it is. And it's just the White House has lied to us about so much that it's impossible to trust them on anything, especially when the main the thing they've been lying us to lately is this exact subject, Trump's health. And didn't they have I just read about this morning, this stunt they had planned with Trump looking pulling a Clark Kent. The two tell us about this one.
The two dead Jewish guys who created Superman would be rolling in their graves hearing about this.
Oh my god.
But
as a descendant of dead Jewish guys, I approve of that joke.
Yeah. He apparently, and the New York Times reported he had several conversations about this, which means he had a conversation and somebody said, "Oh no, sir, that wouldn't be a good idea."
I wonder
and he didn't.
There had to be conversations in which some people told him that's a great idea. Some people didn't say no to him.
Yeah, well, I guess he heard no enough times that he didn't do it. Thank goodness.
What was the exact plot again? It was just wearing the
He had this brilliant idea because I guess what he was doing with all his time on his hands being quarantined, he thought, how can I make a really cool, imagine a gender reveal party, but it'll be a health reveal party. He wanted to wear a Superman T-shirt or something underneath of a button-down shirt, and I'm assuming you would have to, loosen the threads on the buttons because I don't know if he'd had the strength to pull it apart otherwise. But he wanted to come out for his rally on Saturday, just look all frail, like an old man, like a
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. I was just trying to think of Willy Wonka, and then as he looked all frail, then he would go and rip his shirt off, and I'm like. Our presidency is now devolved into WrestleMania.
What did we expect? Look, I mean, he was a figure. He
was a WrestleMania guy. Yeah.
This is who we hired. This is exactly who we hired.
Yeah. Yeah. And see the tone deafness. Okay. Because you got the scientific illiteracy, it's a cure. It's a vaccine. I'm immune now.
Sure, it's not a vaccine. We don't know if he's immune.
COVID, you'll survive COVID. Don't be afraid of COVID.
what's horrible, like I saw somebody retweet because Chris Christie got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Chris Christie got out of the hospital. He said he, quote, checked himself in. Number one,
I
you do
heard
not
that.
check.
Yes.
Normal
Yeah.
people do not check themselves in. They are admitted if they're sick enough.
Yes.
So either he was really, really sick, or he was able to check himself in because he's really, really rich, which is that's not fair. And then we see, people tweeting out, well, if Chris Christie can survive it, so can you. Over 1 million people worldwide have died, and over 200,000 Americans have died from this. It has literally been declared the biggest mass death event in New York City history, and people are trying to say it's fine. It's fine.
Well, what is that? That psychological effect where people can
survivor bias.
Well, they can get freaked out by a really intense, anecdote of one, but you get enough numbers and it's just a statistic and they ignore it.
God, I don't know what the it's. Yeah. I know what you're saying. It's kind of like one death is a tragedy, a million
is a statistic, and so you got a lot of that going on. And
there was a great joke from Eddie Izzard. It's like, somebody kills one person, it's like they go to jail. Somebody kills 1 million, and you're practically like, well done.
Yeah. Like, and you get to keep the country. Yeah.
It's no flag, no country. I know. Mixing up routines.
I love Eddie Izzard.
Same. Eddie for president. I don't care if he's from England. I want him over here. Or I don't know if I don't know if Eddie
don't
goes
matter anymore. The rules don't matter anymore. I mean, you couldn't hold campaign.
Are there rules? Yeah. Are there rules anymore? There's no Hatch Act. There's no
campaign at the White House if you want. It's fine. Yeah. Well, did you have a list of things that we should talk about? Because
general list. So it's kind of the go through all of the the things that have happened over the course of the week, and it's like, the hardest part about this last week is that there's just so little in the news that I don't know how we're going to find it.
Yeah.
No, it's like the weird thing about a week like this, there was like right before Trump got he was like the day before he was diagnosed with COVID. So many things happened. It was like this amazing cascade of events. The Kimberly Guilfoyle story came out. It's like any other presidency. That'd be a story. Like the Trump taxes came out, story. And Eric Trump was on the air this morning giving an interview about it, and just kind of sidesteps everything. Like, of course, my dad's hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. That's how real estate works. No, it's not. No, it's not, sweetie. Yeah. That's just. But it's like there's not a single story that didn't get buried by this whole thing, and is not currently being. It's like everything about how COVID is being communicated now is being swallowed up by the president getting this. Like I used to think it would be a good thing if Trump got it, and I now realize I'm wrong.
Well, as soon as he was diagnosed, I actually came up with a big list of here's what skeptics and science communicators are going to have to worry about for the next, several weeks, because, he might get better in a week. He might get better in 3 weeks, but chances are he's going to get better. I mean, and people who are railing about, Trump gets the best healthcare in the world. Of course he's going to get the best healthcare in the world. He is our president.
Yeah, of course.
That's nothing to be surprised or shocked about. It's not, that would be like that would be like conservatives getting furious that Obama was getting the best healthcare in the world if he came down with a deadly disease.
Yeah, like
that's the way it works. Yeah.
Like, the thing that's so infuriating about it is that he tells people that you're all going to get Regeneron for free.
Oh, it's just tone deafness.
While they're actively trying to take healthcare away from people, while they're actively trying to dismantle the ACA, and they're saying in the debates that no, they're not trying to get rid of coverage for pre-existing conditions, when they are blatantly doing that. And it's like, if that wasn't a part of the platform, it would be less horrifying, but it is.
Yeah, his utter tone deafness when he believes that because he survived it, all Americans will. I don't know if he thinks that the numbers are just like imaginary,
are people does he think that the mass graves in New York were just, that's part of the Democrat hoax? Yeah,
So he's utterly tone deaf, and in order to survive, I'm thinking about ways that other presidents would have handled this. I mean, have you thought about how Obama would have handled surviving COVID? He would have empathy. He would have just exuded empathy like it was pus from a zit. It would have been.
Oh yeah, and you just said that too. You just said that to someone who loves Zit popping videos. So I'm like, the calmness that brought me. Yeah,
he would have spoken to all the people who lost. Loved ones.
Picturing him saying, "I'm there with you. I feel your pain. This was a difficult thing, and I'm picturing all the things Obama would have said."
Yeah, he would have said, "Now I realize I'm in a privileged position that many, almost all Americans do not enjoy the benefits of being able to go to Walter Reed."
And now I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you get.
And I've got a task force that I'm putting together to get emergency health care to people who need it for COVID and blah, 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 blah. And instead it's just.
I mean,
Superman.
Like there's nothing like. I mean, he just what was it? A couple weeks ago he said they were stopping talks on like he's gone back and forth on the stimulus thing. It's like I'm stopping talks on stimulus until I win this election. And now he's like send me send me anything and I'll sign it to get a stimulus out to everyone overnight.
That's the other thing with Trump being a pussy. If you notice all these executive orders, all the things that his quote unquote base has wanted him to do, he's drawn lines in the sand and then he just erases those lines when he gets bad press. So he's terrified of bad press. So even if you are a Trumpian, like I want all these things done, you have to be disappointed with the guy because he has no spine about sticking to anything. He backs up.
The sad thing is, I think the people who wanted, the people who are still on Team Trump, they don't see anything that he's done as a disappointment. It's kind of, there's such a cult mentality now that they just look at him and go, well, they see all the things he claims are accomplishment and go, see all the things he's done, and they don't see the misses at all. It's kind of like a psychic who
I was going to say that. I've never thought about that parallel before, but it's remember the hits,
the con man.
Forget the misses. It's a total, just like a standard stage psychic con.
It's just a quick speaking of this is, as we mentioned earlier.
Hello, Science Dog.
He's my cute little man. Hi, tiny dog. Hello, teensy dog. But,
I've got a little Chihuahua pug mix in the other room.
Is there a name for a Chihuahua pug?
I just call him a Chug. And
I love it.
His name is Scrapple after the Eastern Seaboard breakfast meat.
Yep, Scrapple is everything but the oink, right? It's just
it's so I don't even want to know what's in there. But if you fry it up the right way, it's quite tasty.
Having lived in New Jersey, I remember Scrapple from that part of the world, but I was also a little too terrified of it. I have not tried it, but I'm not sure if I'm okay with this.
There's a lot of cornmeal in it, which gives a really weird texture to a lot of people, and quite frankly, is off-putting to many people. In addition to all the parts that are in there, that the cornmeal is off-putting.
Oh man!
But because of the cornmeal, if you fry it up really, really, you got to really overdo it on each side.
Gotcha.
It's a really tasty meat product. Yeah.
It's it's like I think people in America are a little terrified of quote meat products. Like my weird thing I have embraced in the pandemic is Spam, and it was like
really?
I bought it because I was like, look, I don't know if we're gonna suddenly have fucking shortages of things, so I bought like a couple things of Spam just on a why the fuck not basis. And then I was looking around going, what the fuck do I do? Like as goes the joke, what do I do with all this useless Spam? And I found people were like, yeah, try Musubi. It's Spam sushi. And I bought a little Musubi press and it's amazing. And I now have a ton of jars of flavors of furikake, the rice seasoning to make different flavors of it. And my favorite is definitely I'll make Musubi with and add bacon and pineapple to it, grilled bacon and pineapple. Oh, so nice. Good.
See, my mother was raised in Hawaii, so I had Spam sandwiches as a kid. It was
nice.
Spam is the thing I've had. Now they've got flavors. You can get jalapeno Spam, turkey Spam, and all weird kind of Spam.
I read a thing ranking the Spams from best to worst and talking about the Spams.
Spam.
Yeah, I've been talking about the ones that's like, don't avoid this spam. There are issues, and there's one that has like I've been told the teriyaki spam is like, if you can find this, try this one out. So I'm hoping one day
teriyaki spam musubi actually sounds really good.
Yeah, like I'll try to. This is how it's like. Look, I marinate my spam because I'm classy.
There's so much stuff in the meat already. How do you possibly get more marinade to soak in?
It's like just a mix of sugar, soy sauce, Chinese 5-spice, and some ginger, and just 15 minutes. But then grill and pour that into it after it's been grilled on both sides, and it gets this wonderful little caramelization before putting it into musubi. Oh yeah!
Wow, I'm racking up the sodium numbers in my head already. Now you got to know, you got to imagine.
Hey, the sugar balances out the sodium, so that way you don't get any sugar or sodium in your body at all. I'm a nutrition writer, so that it's real.
Okay. No, you got to imagine that the makers of spam were like, it's the apocalypse, boys. We're gonna make a fortune. Everybody's gonna, and because everybody bought what they could in canned meat products. Probably.
Yeah, like the randomest thing I did.
The past 6 months have shot up in popularity.
Out of curiosity, I bought. You just froze on my screen. Okay, there you're back again. Whew. Okay, for a second I'm like, no. Whatchamacallit, out of dead curiosity, I bought like not a store brand, but like a non-spam brand spam. Like and I was surprised.
Generic spam.
It was. Here's the thing. I don't know if the brand, because I tend to shop at my local Korean grocery store. It was I guess a Korean brand. I think it was a Korean. I'm guessing. I don't read. I can't read those symbols. They're not like, I have not learned to speak Korean yet. Like maybe one, but like here's the thing. I kind of liked it, and I'm like, this is a little better than the regular stuff. I should buy more of this brand. So who knows?
Probably, yes.
But yeah, I find I did not think I would find happiness with a canned meat product during the pandemic, but here we are, and that is a thing that has happened. So
I've actually, to flip completely the other way, during the pandemic, I have begun growing microgreens in mason jars.
Oh,
I've seen
the pictures.
I love it. It's
nice.
It's like having sea monkeys, but you can eat them, and they're not from a racist inventor.
I didn't know sea monkeys were from a racist inventor, but also
you should read the backstory on sea monkeys. They're totally Nazi. Read their.
Oh my god!
The ladies on Stuff You Missed in History class did a whole episode about sea monkeys, and it was so eye-opening. Anyway, but I used to get them when I was a 10-year-old. I get sea monkeys and make them, put them up on the windowsill and see them grow. And with microgreens, you just pretty much put them in a jar, put water in them.
Yeah.
Stick them near some not direct sunlight, and in like 4 or 5 days, you've got a jar full of alfalfa or clover sprouts, and you can put them on sandwiches and in salads and in pita bread. And I used to love sprouts, but I didn't buy them that often because they were like $3.99 for a little tray of sprouts. And I remember reading. You can probably fact check me on this, but I remember reading that there's a lot of bacterial outbreaks that are traced to sprouts, because something about them, they don't have that much of a shelf life, and so you want to eat them as fresh as you can because they get bacteria quickly. If you grow them at home, you can just take it out of the jar and eat them, and they're great. So
I wonder if
my little infomercial on growing sprouts.
So grow your sprouts, people. They're good for you and they're easy to grow. Let's see. Fun. So there's a story today in Bloomberg saying, at what point does herd immunity cost too much? I'm like, herd immunity.
It has already.
Let's chit chat about that, because I think, and I mean, a lot of people who are listening right now probably already understand this, but let's talk about the misunderstanding of what herd immunity is, because I've seen how many different ways have you seen herd immunity misunderstood? Because
more ways than I've seen.
I didn't think that people could misunderstand it. The number of ways I don't know why. Right underneath my nose is very itchy today. I was like, right, itch. The only spot anywhere in my body that's itching is right here. Okay. I think I'm better. God damn it, still itchy. Anyways, I think I'm better. Anyways, so I've seen somebody say, yeah, the reason, like, we just all have to get it so that we can get our immunity up because we've never had it before. And once everyone's gotten it, we'll be more immune to it. And so then we'll all be fine. It's like, that's not how that, we're not like, I think they think that people are like, that's like, no.
Well, it did provide Dr. Fauci with a great shutdown of Rand Paul. I don't know if you saw that, like it's 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, or I mean, it could have been 3 days ago. I don't remember.
I think I saw that. Like I always love a good Fauci telling Rand Paul to shove it up his ass.
Yes, and Rand Paul was like, "Well, what do you think about New York? Whatever, they have a very low test positivity rate because blah, blah, blah." And Dr. Fauci was like, "They've initiated all these protocols, and if you believe that herd immunity occurs with 20% of the population." You are alone there.
You're a very bad doctor.
Yes. Well, yeah.
He is a bad doctor. Yeah, like, he's an eye doctor who couldn't pass the fucking exams for the normal ophthalmology board. So he made his own fake, shitty ophthalmology board to certify other doctors who could not pass their normal ophthalmology board. Alleged something like that.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's I haven't read into that, but that sounds like the way pseudoscientists get their journals articles published. Well, they make their own journal.
This sounds kind of like how a libertarian doctor would work, right? He's like, well, the state won't give me my certification, so fuck the state. I'm going to say that I'm allowed to practice medicine how I see. And I'm sure
these are colonial times, and I'm just going to hang up a shingle.
Yeah, like I'm sure that he's perfectly capable of going 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 3 or 4. Can you read the E? Like, I'm sure he's capable of doing that, but I'm not going to trust him to fix my fucking glaucoma when I get it. Like that's I think that is a perfectly fair way to look at that. But like the fact that he could not, like that he chose to start his own board rather than do the work to pass the one that already existed. It's like, Rand, I'm not shocked that you don't understand herd immunity. Like, I believe at this point it's somewhere between a quarter and a third of New Yorkers have gotten it at this point, and 0.3% of New York City has died. So that it looks like somewhere between, and it of course depends on the age, the health, a lot of different things about the population, but somewhere between probably 0.8 and 1.2% of a population will die when the overall caseload reaches 100%. And that's terrifying. So,
well, and then there's the people that don't die, but they get an inflammation around the heart. They get a long hauler symptoms where they are sick for 8 to 10 months.
And we don't know what percentage that is yet.
Yeah, like, we don't know how vulnerable that makes them to other things.
Yeah, like,
and then we have also the fact that this is a respiratory illness that I don't want to compare it to the flu, but like the flu and like many other viruses, it mutates, it changes a little bit. And so you might be immune to you might gain immunity by catching COVID this year. But does that mean you're going to be immune to COVID of 2021? You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we have no idea. And like I say this as someone who tries to be confident in the things I tell people. From what I understand from the last thing that I've read on this was this mutates about a third as quickly as the flu. So more than likely, if we have a vaccine for it, it should keep us safe for a certain amount of time. It just depends on which parts of the thing mutate. If the immunity we have keeps us immune to, like, if the immunity that we have is like, because I believe the vaccine that I've been given gives us, like, it recognizes the spike protein. Like, if the spike, if my body still, like, if that immunity still recognizes the spike protein and that hasn't mutated, like, that will be, it'll be fine. But what if that's what mutates? Like, we don't know. So that's the thing to keep an eye on over the years. Like, this could mutate to get more deadly, because that's what happened with the 1918 Spanish flu. Like, we just don't know because it's so new. We don't know what the long-term effects are. We don't know if people 6 months in who have had long hauler syndrome are going to start having much more bigger complications. And that's it's terrifying. Like, we don't know if they ever get better if people have been sick for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, the good news that I have heard from my infectious disease doctor friends is that there doesn't seem to be any indication that the virus stays in you and becomes dormant, like herpes, where you get flare-ups for your entire life. that would really suck.
Yeah.
But so far it looks like you do beat the virus.
Yeah.
Or you die. But
oh god,
but it does look like that it doesn't like stay in you forever and ever and just pop up, when from time to time, which would be infinitely worse than
I mean, it's hard to like the one thing I look at and go, it's hard to tell. Like even if the virus doesn't pop up, like it somehow seems like your body, even though like you go through a phase for a certain amount of time where you don't know, like you're not through the worst of it, even if you feel fine for a couple days. Like people have said, like I felt fine for a week, and all of a sudden fever hit me again. So it's like I feel like there's a certain amount of like you have to go through a certain period before it's out of your system, and there's I think it's longer than like it's longer than the flu, unfortunately.
It's longer than 10 fucking days, Donald Trump.
Thank you for reading my mind.
And see, this is one of my major. Okay, I don't mean to make this whole show about how Donald Trump is a pussy. Donald Trump is a pussy, but Donald Trump is a pussy.
There are two subjects that we have to go on about in the show. Number one, that Donald Trump is a pussy, and number two, that Ben Shapiro's wife's pussy is dry. Those are two things. Yes. Look, I will keep making that joke until Ben Shapiro gives his wife an orgasm, which will be never. So, I think it's just don't worry. That'll be the running joke of the show until the end of time. Like it's until I get kicked off the internet, I will make jokes about Ben Shapiro being bad in bed because he probably is. So. That's just
that was a gift to the internet. That was. But Donald Trump could not handle being in quarantine, which I'm sure his quarantine was the most finely appointed quarantine in God's green earth.
A 6-room suite with anything needed.
He couldn't handle it for like a week. He demanded to get out of it after a week because he
was there Friday, and he got out Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, and he couldn't handle just being quarantined in the White House. He wanted to have his rallies, wanted to do this, wanted to do that. There are people who have locked down for so much longer with so much less, and I just it's like what kind of a toddler is he that he can't handle just abiding to protocols that his own administration has set.
Here's the thing. Like it's funny. Did you hear that Mitch McConnell has not been to the White House since August because of their protocols?
I heard.
The fucking ghoul himself would not go to the White House because of how bad it is.
And he actually said that. He said, "Well, I'm not." That's the reason. He admitted he's like, they're not following protocols, so I'm not gonna.
It's like you're the guy standing up for the White House, and this is the thing you have to that you're saying about it. Just this seems a little terrifying. It's to the rest of us. We're not. This does not give us any confidence in the fact that you're telling us to vote for this guy, but also you think he's going to kill you.
Yeah, there are certain things that are important, and I wish our leaders would take them to be important, but.
Not spreading COVID-19 doesn't seem to be on that list.
Yes. I'm forward thinking. I'm looking forward here to there's going to be some massive changes in our society that I hope science will play a big part in the coming years. I think public health is going to become a much bigger thing that the federal government, headed by a Democrat, will invest a lot more money in. The pandemic response unit will come back hopefully. And I'm also hoping that public health will start also encompassing misinformation and conspiracy bullshit because that's killing people.
Saying, Joe Biden, call me.
Call
us. We will help.
How do we do that? How do we pitch a task force? To the upcoming administration, how do we pitch a task force?
An anti-misinformation task force.
Dangerous to your health misinformation and get Mick West on there. I would nominate Mick West. I would nominate you. I would nominate several prominent skeptics I know. Because you can't solve the problem by just saying y'all are wrong.
Yeah, like you need to.
That doesn't work.
The thing I always say is you gotta like the easiest, or it's at least for me the easiest way, or to get somebody to start changing their mind is to ask them questions as opposed to telling them what to think. Because like you tell someone they're wrong, they're like, "Fuck you, I'm not wrong." You ask someone, "Why do you think that? Have you looked into it? Could you, it's and get them to explore their feelings a little bit." And like I forget, I think this might have been from Anthony Magnabosco from Street Epistemology. I think it was, how certain are you that this is real? What would it take? Are you, out of one scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you? Oh, you're a 10. What would it take to get you down to like a 7? Like, and those kinds of things can kind of start to chip away at it. But like it's a careful, slow process of getting someone to change their mind from bad information. And like, I don't think that people who are just trying to communicate accurate science, who are bad at communicating accurate science, as we've seen so far in this pandemic, are going to be able to do it. So that is my grit.
I came across a pretty good example of that. Just a friend of mine, Dr. Dan Ketterer, he's Dr. Dan, the infectious disease guy.
Yep.
He put out a little video. It's long. It's like 19 minutes long. He called it AMSR because it's the relaxing sounds of infection. And in it, he just pretends to be seeing you as a patient. And you hear the clicking of the pen and everything. He's like, "Oh, so you don't want your flu shot today? Well, why? Oh, you had the flu shot and it gave you the flu? Okay." And he goes down all the reasons why that people tick off about why they don't want to get their flu shot. And he very slowly unravels each one. If you have anybody that in your life that does not want to get a flu shot, and it's very important this year to get a flu shot, make them sit down for 19 minutes and watch Dr. Dan's ASMR
video.
Doctor destroys all reasons against getting the flu shot.
It's like, as I keep telling people, the only thing that's going to prevent you from getting both COVID and the flu at the same time is a fucking flu shot.
Yep. So, because we don't have a coronavirus shot. Oh, well, we have whatever you got.
It's funny. One of my housemates got into the Pfizer trial, and I got into the Johnson & Johnson trial. So we're both like, fingers crossed, we got immunity from something. So there are 10 of us in the house. So as few of us that could possibly be vectors bringing it into the house, the better.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that I work from home. My husband and I are both artists. So we work from home now. I used to work conventions.
Yeah, and I mean you did because you do caricature work.
Yeah, I do live art at conventions and parties, and I don't do it anymore, but I used to.
What's your website again? If people want to check out your artwork and check out where they can hire you for she does amazing character work, guys. Like
I've still actually got the little placeholder up on my website saying I'm not doing live stuff, but I do commissions. It's www.twoheadsstudios. That's numeral 2 HEADSSTUDIOS.com. And I've been doing commissions, but I've also taken a half-time job as a PR coordinator, which
nice.
Weirdly lined up with my entire skill set, because I was an academic editor before I jumped into cartooning full time, and they needed somebody, they needed somebody who could handle bookmaking and editing, and they're even doing some podcasting stuff, which I've been getting into that for the past several years. And I'm like, wow, you need somebody with those skills? I don't believe it. It's like every extracurricular activity I've ever had lines up.
Nice.
And I gotta say, and they're one of the good PR companies. They help doctors prepare for interviews about coronavirus.
Highly necessary.
Yes, they handle. I've been lucky to be working with people who are handling labor unions and medical associations and historical societies, and so we aren't doing PR for like shitty people.
Man, I know people who do that, but that's not a thing I'll discuss on camera.
And I also want to sort of pick up a bunch of skills that I can apply to science communication and skepticism, because skepticism has had a PR problem for since there's been skepticism.
Yeah, I feel like skeptics, and I say this as a skeptic, we're known for being assholes.
Yes.
Here's the thing. what we do is we take misconceptions that people are attached to, and we tell them they're dumb for being attached to them, or at least that's what a lot of skeptics do. And we need to change the way we are. Not me, because I'm perfect in every way,
Oh, yes, yes.
obviously. But like I think there's a lot of and I see this both kind of out of atheism and skepticism. There is a tendency to do this. I'm smart and I figured it out, so you're dumb for not knowing this. And it's like, you didn't know this 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
had to be taught. Like, it's people who fall for these things are vulnerable, not gullible. And it bothers me when there's this kind of self-righteous, haughty attitude.
Yeah, I like that. I want to call out that phrase you just used. I want that to be a bumper sticker. Vulnerable, not gullible.
Yeah.
And there's different people with different backgrounds.
Yeah.
You don't know what somebody's education consisted of. You don't know what their, and education comes from, not just your science teacher, but, the way that you learn the world from your parents might be completely different than the way somebody else learned the world from their parents. I was really lucky in that my mother inoculated us from a lot of bullshit from an early age. Yeah. She wouldn't just say, oh, that's that way because. She'd say, well, why do you think that is? Other people think something different. Why do you think they think that?
Nice. She Socratic methoded you.
Yeah, there was a lot of that went on when I was growing up. And so I got this way of thinking that made me not just, think things are rigid, but like, oh, people believe different things.
Yeah. And that, I think that's like, that is a good way to introduce someone to, to skepticism in a really healthy way, as opposed to like, it's like, I think if you get introduced to skepticism as an adult and it's like, it can become, oh God, I don't want to say it's like a religion because then I'm going to get hate mail, but like, it kind of becomes it's this comforting way you can be self-righteous about having this like new belief system about the universe. I don't know. It's like,
well, you can sometimes feel like, you've discovered something. It can be like somebody who's gotten onto a health kick and, suddenly has this amazing bikini body and then looks down on all the fat people.
Oh yeah. It's like when people take up soccer or veganism or something like that. That's their new marathoning. Like they found their thing. Like everyone's, and I think there's like a 6-month period where everyone's a douchebag about their new thing. And I say this as someone who ran marathons and was definitely a douchebag about it for 6 months. Like it's what you do when you find a new thing that you're really into. But like, I think skepticism genuinely does have a few people that are kind of out front with it sometimes. Archer Dawkins, who come across as douchebags, and like of course we have a PR problem. Like we need to not be dicks. Like we can help people get to right answers without being dicks about it. So, and I mean,
there's also a lack of charity that goes on a lot, and I think that amplifies all the wrong messages. Because if somebody tweets or says something, and somebody who's a prominent skeptic tweets or says something that's kind of being a douchebag, you can either ignore it or you can amplify the signal 1,000 times and make everybody in the world think this is what skeptics are all like. Yeah. And I'm not opposed to calling people out when they need to get called out, but when it becomes the only signal that's going out there over and over and over again, it's like, okay, well, what are we in the business of here? Are we trying to communicate science? Are we trying to communicate skeptic ideas and move the Overton window of what? Yeah, or are we? Yeah, or are we just trying to fuel outrage culture? And I miss the pre-outrage times.
I got into skepticism it was. I want to call it post elevator gate, because I feel like that was like I feel like that was where skepticism started to have a little bit of a split, and people like I wonder if that had never happened, like how different, like if that hadn't happened, if Gamergate wouldn't have happened, I feel like things were from what I read.
I thought Gamergate happened before Elevator Gate. I'm getting my gates confused.
Yeah, Gamergate was definitely after, because what happened with Rebecca Watson was like I want to say 2013, 2012. I could be wrong. It was years before, and Gamergate was just like I want to say that was more like 2015. Like it was like there was a couple year gap in between the two, but that was it. it's still, I look back at that in retrospect and still think, why in God's name did Richard Dawkins attack this person who had at the time a small blog? Why was it ever a thing that happened?
Yeah.
But I mean, that goes back to the whole skeptics are known for being dicks. That is like, and I mean, it's like what's been weird to me. I don't know how much you keep up with skeptic/atheist community. Have you seen that some prominent somebody who even spoke at Reason Rally has taken the God pill, is now religious?
Who? Because I've been to a couple of the Reason Rallies.
Dave Rubin.
I've heard the name. I don't know him personally.
He does the Rubin Report. He's kind of one of the quote IDW, the intellectual dark web, and he went on a tour with Jordan Peterson, and like So after touring with Peterson, he's decided there's a God. And I just think it's funny that like a lot of and I've seen Dawkins doing this too. I've seen Dawkins defending religious people because he says they're more in favor of free speech than the lefts and than liberals. And I'm like, dude, they're aligned with you on this one thing, but I guess you're missing like that they're aligned with not aligned with you on everything else. Somebody in the comments said Elevator Gate was 2011, Gamegate was 2014.
Okay, so I had him way off. Yeah.
It's I wasn't sure I was just kind of throwing darts at the years, but like it's like, I mean, I feel like there was just this weird split in the community that just so slowly cleaved, and like I spoke at the second Reason Rally, and I remember there being such a huge outpouring of rage when there was a harassment policy. Like all they did was
out loud. Oh my God.
I remember all they did was implement a harassment policy, and there was this huge outcry from people like Thunderfoot and a bunch of other like online atheists. Like, how dare you tell people they can't harass people?
I think I know somebody who was tasked with helping put together the harassment policy thing. I don't want to say though, because if I'm wrong, I don't want to. That's fine. I don't want to misquote.
Yeah,
but yeah, it wasn't like you had to put down a deposit of $200 and take a class, and it was just you sign your name agreeing not to grope people.
Yeah, like it was the most basic of hey, don't break the law.
And just personally, I've never had any problems at skeptic conventions. I of course I tend to carry myself like a fucking overweight Viking. Don't fucking mess with me, and I'm not going to have the same experience that other people are going to have.
And I mean, I realize I'm insulated by my quote fame. I cannot take the word fame seriously.
Me too. I have that problem too. Yeah. No.
It's like, but I know I'm insulated a little bit by the fact that like people are going to be a little less likely to grab the ass of a speaker than they are of someone else. But even then, it's fucking happened.
Yeah.
And it's like people are, and it's always another speaker who does it to me. It's not like the two times it's happened, it's been another speaker. It's never been an attendee. So, but yeah, like that's fun.
Yeah, I had a guy grab my ass on an escalator once. It wasn't elevator gate; it was escalator.
Escalator gate. Oh my!
And it was interesting in that it was a large black man, and there was just something not intimidating about him. And I realized just by saying the words "large black man," I've heard that language is used when the speaker really wants to make somebody sound intimidating.
Gotcha.
This guy was like teddy bear large black man.
Yep.
And I think he may have been slightly on the spectrum because he sidled. There was just him and me on an escalator. I was leaving work from a big resort.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, what's your name?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Celeste. I work here." Yeah. And I didn't say like, "Hi, I'm Celeste. I work here." I just said, "I'm Celeste. I work here." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he got closer to me, and then pretty soon a hand cupped my butt. Which sometimes happens accidentally. I have a very large butt, but this was very intentional. And I just wheeled around and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And he just,
oops. He's like, well, I misread that one.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, I thought you said your name. I thought we were friends." I was like, "You don't cup somebody's ass because they told you their name. Who the hell raised you?" And I just continued laying into this guy in the parking lot elevator.
I believe
in the parking garage.
I believe yelling at someone for an ass grab is the appropriate response.
Yes, and
like there's no need to call someone. It's just yell, shame that person. That is always an appropriate response.
I don't think he'll do it again.
At least not to you.
What's that?
At least not to you if he ever.
At least not to me or people who bear resemblance to me. But
I'll consider not doing it.
But I honestly got the feeling from this guy that he didn't know better. And I'm not excusing that. I'm just saying I got the feeling that he was one of these very socially inept, just honestly thought that it was okay to do that as like step 1, get her name, step 2, cop a feel.
Yep. It's
on an escalator in the space of 10 seconds.
Yep. That seems to it's just maybe that's just how courtship works in Vegas. I don't know.
I was about to say Vegas, a lot of the rules are just out the door because people think nothing, what happens here stays here. The rules don't matter. There's, people sleep with each other at the drop of a hat here, and sometimes that's true. But
I mean, I've spent me some time in Vegas, and it's shit's happened there.
Yeah,
weird things have happened there.
Did you hear about the weird story about the guy who got caught having sex with a woman on the observation wheel in one of the pods?
No,
it's a weird story, especially because the guy ended up getting killed later.
What?
Committing suicide or getting killed. Somehow he ended up dead.
This all seems... This threw me for a tell me more.
It made huge headlines here for a long time. This is like 5 or 6 years ago. The big, giant, high roller observation wheel had just opened. The largest observation wheel in the world, as we were all told. And this guy and girl managed to get on an observation wheel by themselves. And apparently they got acquainted enough by the time they were at the top to start having sex. Now the observation pods are all see-through. They're all glass.
Yeah.
So the families in the pod ahead and behind them were able to see this, and the security people got on the intercom, were like, "Stop having sex right now. Put your clothes back on." So they stopped for a little while, and then they kept going.
Part of them has to be like, "What are you gonna do? Stop us?"
So they were arrested when they got to the bottom.
If you're going to get arrested for something in Vegas, that seems like a good way to go.
Well, then it came out that he was there on his bachelor party and he was set to get married to a different lady.
Fuck.
So way to get your name in the papers. And of course the Associated Press picked up on this, and it was a story nationally.
Oh my God.
And
so did that fuck up his wedding? Please let that have fucked up his
wedding.
I
believe it did. I'd have to look up the details, but I remember it came out like weeks later. He was dead. He got killed.
God.
He either got killed or committed suicide. I'd have to look
Holy shit.
But so it was
That's I don't know if that's the best Vegas story I've ever heard or the worst. It's like
we got a lot of stories where people end up dead here.
That is the most deeply Vegas story I've ever heard. If only a magician and a tiger were involved somehow, I think it would be a little bit better. We need one more element of Vegas and it'd be like.
Well, I have a feeling they're not. The ghost hunting tours are now going to include that pod.
Oh my God!
Of the high roller.
It's like I've had some weird times in Vegas. I shot automatic machine guns last time I was out there.
Oh, okay.
It was a friend of mine was going to do it, or we were out there for the AVN. We had friends that were going to do it, and they're like, "Come on, we're covering it for all of us." I'm like, "I'll try it out." I learned I do not like firing giant guns. It is too loud, and
they pack a bit of a.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of. Here's the thing. I think everyone in America, because it's America and it's a terrifying time, everyone should know how to shoot one. But or shoot a gun, as in what? Yeah. But the giant ones that you just touch the trigger and all of a sudden 5 bullets are coming out.
Yeah,
that was too much. That was terrifying.
I've handled one of those before at the at just an open range. And at least the one you have little chains on the front of it so they couldn't get away from you?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Some of the ones I've seen on TV have little chains, like the carnival guns, so that you can't take the gun away from the target at all.
Oh man, it's understandable. Yeah, I think this was just called Machine Guns Las Vegas was the name of the
Did you get
place.
to ride? Did you get to ride there on like a big Hummer with like, army paintings all over it,
So
like camouflage?
it was just a van.
Okay.
Just a 15-passenger van from like the main lodge out to here's where we go in the middle of the desert so nobody can find us shooting machine gun.
Yeah,
This is libertarian country. We can do what we want. Like
it's very popular with Europeans. Europeans love to, and they drive around these big Hummers with the camouflage netting. You can just see all these like people dressed like Europeans and like the weird fluorescent stuff going. Oh, we're going to shoot an AR-47.
It's just I don't know. I can't get into the gun culture thing. Like it's too loud for me. Like it's just I'm like all I feel, and I'm like some people love it. Good for them. It hurts my ears. That's all.
I preferred archery. I dug archery as a teenager and a kid. I liked doing that. I learned guns, but I'm not a gun aficionado. But I felt like I should at least learn how to make sure they're safe. Indeed. So I learned a little bit. But Vegas, since you brought up the topic, I wanted to say, unfortunately, Nevada is the only blue state that is still in the upper ranks of the COVID
issue. Let's talk about because you guys had, is it your governor or your local mayors that have been more of the issue on leading this? Because I'm not sure. I don't know Nevada politics all that well.
Governor Sisolak has taken a lot of heat from a lot of the people who are opposed. See, Nevada is blue, but it's what they're calling slightly blue. We haven't been blue for all that long.
Yeah, and Nevada's kind of purple.
This purple, but lately we've been blue, and I think and I swear Trump. Oh, I swear this is on fucking purpose.
Of course it is.
We knew there was going to be a spike in cases after Labor Day. Labor Day was like the big, early in September, you had everybody doing the barbecues. Yeah. And if you look at our curve, which I always look at the New York Times data for the curve.
New York Times and the Worldometers. Corona. Yeah, that's the other one.
It was coming down. And then it's like, okay, people are, all right, it's coming down.
We can go back outside.
Everybody's going to go to the lake. Everybody's going to have a picnic. Everybody's going to have a big get together. So I was expecting a spike after Labor Day. And then Trump came and held a rally exactly a week later here in Henderson.
Of course he did.
And the governor had mandates in place that prevented him from doing it, but he did it anyway in a big warehouse in Henderson. It was indoors, and he had a couple thousand people there. And I thought to myself, I'm not.
Even with all, like, wasn't it like something absurdly low, like a $3,000 fine? Like, here's your, it was something like, you broke the state mandates. It comes out to fucking pocket change for you.
I doubt he doesn't even pay his contract. He's not going to pay the fine.
This is a man who paid $750 in taxes.
Yeah, he'll find a way to get that. Yeah. I don't recall reading about any sort of assessment. I think maybe he thinks the fines apply to other people. I don't know. I'm just speculating there.
Yeah.
But it occurred to me.
Nothing applies to him.
It occurred to me, and I don't think Trump did this on purpose because I don't think he doesn't think forward. He doesn't think strategically. But if you wanted to fuck Nevada the hardest, and if you wanted to give us as
many jokes about Vegas and fucking it hard.
Yeah.
Anyways,
if you wanted to make sure as many Nevadans got sick as possible, what you would do is you would wait between 5 and 8 days from Labor Day, because Labor Day was a big gathering event where you'd have a spike, and you'd wait exactly that long so that the people who caught it on Labor Day would be infectious,
spreading it, and
infectious, but not confined to their homes or a hospital.
And they've been wandering around and spreading it to other people.
And then you would gather 3,000 of those people that had been infected over Labor Day, and have possibly a big indoors event.
And statistically, even if you only have, say, 20 people in that big indoor event, and even if we only have 10 people in that big indoor event and they're spread throughout the audience, how many more cases do you get from those 10? How many cases do you get from 5 if they're all sitting, like 5 people spread throughout the audience who have asymptomatic cases? Each 5 people spread it to 2 more in the audience. They all spread it to their families.
It was timed perfectly. If he'd have had it over Labor Day, it would have been less of a vector event. If he'd have had it 2 weeks after Labor Day, it would have been less of a vector event. Jesus. But he had it, it was like that perfect window. He had it right a week after Labor Day, which we were expecting a bump anyway. And so we have steadily climbed since the middle of September, and it's now up over 500, 600 or 700 cases a day. And there's a thing I noticed about our local Southern Nevada Health District, which not to put down the people at the health district here, they're working hard. Yeah. But there's been a lot of graphics that have come out. This has been a heyday for graphics makers. I mean, people who took Tufte's course on how to present information in a graphic way, and creating infographics is a real art and science. And if you look at the chart on the dashboard of the Southern Nevada Health District, it constantly looks like we're coming out of it. Yeah. But we're not. It constantly looks like we're coming out of it because the way that they have the data points go in there is they have the data point pop into the date where the first symptom onset occurred. Now, do you see, as a science communicator, what the problem is there? You might have 1,000 people show up for testing that day. And if all 1,000 of them test positive, the next question is, when did you notice these symptoms? Yep. And only the people who were like, well, I only noticed the symptoms today, will be put on the bar for today. But you're going to backfill all the bars behind today are going to be filled with more people, because the people who are testing today, if they say, I noticed the symptoms about a week ago, and now they're bad enough for me to get tested, you will always have way more people plunked into the data sets from yesterday, the day before, the day before, the day before. And so it's going to constantly look like you're coming off the edge of a big curve. But that's imaginary. That's imaginary because they're asking people, when is if you look at New York Times, which creates the graph based on just how many cases have tested positive today, it looks like you're going up, because we are. It's being more honest with it. It's like, it's not manipulating the data in a way that favors them. And I don't even think or know that they're doing this on purpose. There's probably some very useful reason to metric the data that way, to figure out, okay, when did symptom onset occur, which probably helps public health officials figure out when certain hot spots got hot. It might be, my dog is like, Mom, hold me. Mom, I want to run away. It might be like for them to help them contact trace. So like they're like, oh, you got it on this day. Who were you near on that day? So they time it like that. Like there are a handful of different reasons why they might do it that way for the local jurisdiction. But the New York Times, or places like the New York Times or the worldometers.covid are going to say it's on this date. So there are legitimate reasons why they could be doing. Thank you, handsome. My husband bringing me coffee is just it is a happy point in my day. So hold on a second. Oh, he makes better coffee than I do. Anyways, it's marry up when it comes to coffee making. Yeah, like I do the foods. He does the coffee. It's a good split. Excellent. Of tasks. So it's, so like different states have different issues that are going on right now for COVID. In California, like went back up, went back down, and now it's kind of county by county. Like we have counties in California where the testing positivity rate is below 1%, and then we have counties where it's going up again. And like New York City, or New York, same thing. Like for a while they were below 1%, and now they have individual communities that are going back up again. And like that has to be awful to live in New York and have gone through such a through the worst of this and know that it's coming again. Like I don't know. I think I would live under a rock, like with my hoodie over my head in a pillow fort in New York at this point. And we just can't. I mean, I got to go out and do things. I got to go grocery shop. I got to take my kid to the pediatrician to get vaccinations. I got, I read a thing that standard childhood vaccination rates are going down in the face of COVID because people are not
whatchamacallit, people are just not going to their doctor's appointments. You need to go to your doctor's appointments. Like, even if it's like, get the mask on the kid, go to your doctor.
Yeah.
Please.
And what my pediatrician does, and call your pediatrician, call any place you're going. If you're going to go to the museum, call the museum and ask what their protocols are.
Yeah.
The doctors, the pediatrician I go to, they have shifted things so that well visits take place before 2:00. Yeah. And then anybody who's ill comes in after 3:00. So you at least know that the doctor is not seeing a bunch of symptomatic patients.
Yeah. And
right before you walked in the door.
Yeah, and I finally found a place that that was selling KN95 masks. Like, you can't find N95s, but KN95 much easier to find out here.
What's the difference? What's the difference between N95 and KN95?
It's physical in terms of what they do. Nothing. The difference is KN95 is just the designation in China. So N95 is what we call them in the U.S. KN is what they call them in China.
So it's like generic spam.
Basically, yeah. It's just like that is their coding in China. So it's like the one thing was when they first, and a couple people there were various reports when the KN95 ones first, people were like, oh, I can get my hands on the KN95 ones. There were a few reports of various companies that opened within a month a month ago and just started mass producing masks that were not did not pass the testing as they should have. They were just like, here's some. It was they were shall we say fraudulently marketed KN95s, but I was really happy that at my local again the Korean grocery store there was a shop next to it that sells that was just a beauty shop, and now instead of all makeup, the entire front of the store is PPE, and I'm like, KN95s, I'm gonna have this for my doctor's appointments, because look, I like my cloth masks, but I don't feel I feel like cloth masks are perfectly fine for the grocery store. I feel like they're fine for any normal shopping. If I'm going into a hospital or into, because sometimes I have to go into my pharmacy, which is in the hospital. If I'm going to a doctor's appointment, I want something that seals in and out everything and that I can dispose of afterwards. And that's a KN95.
Okay. Well, when I went to my doctor, not my pediatrician for my son, but when I went to get a mammogram and just standard doctor stuff, which I put off for so long. Oh. I did put off regular stuff. I
definitely put off things.
I still need to get my teeth cleaned. I haven't gotten my teeth cleaned in a long time.
Oh my God, I'm terrified of going to the dentist.
Yes, but when I went to the adult doctor, they zapped your temperature right up here, or put in the imaginary Bill Gates chip, through the temperature sensor.
Obviously.
Yes, and then they handed me a surgical mask, like a paper surgical mask, and I said, and they said, you can put this on over yours or you can swap it out, but they're giving everybody a clean mask, and they're like, we want everybody who goes in gets a clean mask as a matter of their rules.
Good.
So, and I don't know if they're any better than a cloth mask in terms of just how they seal up, but
surgical. I mean, probably here's the thing. It depends on the cloth mask, and that's probably why they would swap it out, because they don't know how good your individual cloth mask is, or you might have a good one with a filter. Someone else might I've seen cloth masks that are literally socks. A sock that someone has cut into a.
We had a state. We had an assemblywoman, or what was her title? She's one of the big local assemblywomen here. Was wearing a pair of lace panties as a mask, as a protest mask. And they're totally see through and.
I know this makes me the asshole, but when I see people doing this, I root for and I think that they could get COVID. I root for COVID. I don't root for them to die. I don't even root for them to get one of the long hauler cases. I just root for them to have 3 weeks of this disease kicking their ass before they have a full recovery. I think that is enough to want for someone who's spreading misinformation and being this much of a douchebag.
Well, I don't see it that way. I don't see it as being a douchebag because there's
No, I mean they're being the douchebag.
No, I don't see it as you being an asshole for rooting for that.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'll tell you why. Because people with a platform, especially with a platform to far right conservative Trump Kool-Aid drinkers have the ability to kill a lot of people by sending this message of I can wear lace panties on my face and COVID won't get me. Ha ha ha. Oh, I got COVID, but I'm better now and I have an immunity glow about me.
Yeah.
And if they send this message, then that reverberates and their followers are that much more likely to flout the protocols and to not take precautions, and more of them will die. And so I am not a liberal asshole that wants all these conservative people to die.
They are.
Yes, I want fewer of them to die. I don't want anybody to die.
Here's my conspiracy theory. Now, this is, I don't actually believe it, but were I a conspiracy theorist, here's my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
So this disease is much more likely to kill older, heavier, and maler people, right? And who is more likely to support Trump? Older, maler, and Southerners, who in general tend to be heavier. I think, and I'm just saying, my conspiracy theory is that Trump doesn't want to be president anymore. And so he's doing everything he can to kill his base so that he loses. And this way, and because he can't actually say this to people, because he can't say, I don't want to be part of this anymore. Let me out. This way he can just, say the virus is fine and everyone will follow him on it. And he can just slowly be like, gonna get out of this. I can go back to banging porn stars. It's all gonna be fine. They'll cover for me forever. I can leave. I can just get them. I don't
want to be president anymore, but I don't want to drop out.
Yeah, is that if I believed in conspiracy theories, I would believe that Trump is trying to lose by killing his base. The
problem with any and all conspiracy theories. And I got to say, I mean, our show, on Squaring the Strange, we deal with a lot of conspiracy thinking.
Oh yeah, you guys are fantastic. I love what you guys do, and you guys should need a bigger audience.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we have a small audience right now, but they're good people. We like them all. We talk about conspiracy thought a lot, and one of the things that's kind of perturbed and just blown our minds is how conspiracy thinking, since Trump got into office and since he got the COVID most especially, conspiracy thinking has gone from being a mostly right-wing thing to blowing up in liberal circles. And I have to admit, I'm part of being a skeptic is constantly chipping away at your own heuristics, your own biases, checking yourself. And I'm like, no, I can kind of see the draw to that. I can,
It is. And I mean, it is
I
so
don't know.
hard.
Does he really have it?
It has been so hard. I have had to we got into it at the beginning of the show. It's like, are these videos real? People were questioning, and I still see people questioning, I don't think he even had it. It's like, no, he definitely had it, because he's the kind that he thinks that's the whole thing in the Trump family, is that illness is a sign of weakness. He never would have admitted to it unless he was not just positive for it, but had symptoms. I think that if he had been positive but asymptomatic, they never would have admitted to it. They would have just let him.
Well, now the conspiracy thinking, and mind you, sometimes conspiracies turn out to be real conspiracies. Yeah. Now the conspiracy thinking is, did he have it for 4 or 5 days before he actually said he had it? Was he avoiding testing on purpose?
I think so.
Did he go to the Amy Coney Barrett thing on purpose in positive? Who knows?
That I'm not sure. It'd be amazing if Trump, because we don't know who the source of the spread was, at least at the Saturday ACB events. That could have been Hope Hicks. It would be weird if it was, because she was not the center of all the things, but we just don't know who the spreader was at that event. But more than likely, just knowing the disease course, Trump had it for several days. He was definitely positive I'm so happy that it looks like Joe Biden is in the clear now. I don't know. It's my biggest concern after it came out that Trump was positive. They've been standing that close for that long. It wasn't for the health of anyone in Trump's family. It's oh God, put Joe Biden in a bubble. Give him the antibodies.
Yeah, my husband is much more of a conspiratorial thinker than I am, and that stems way back. He believed a lot of things about George W. Bush that I can't even get into. But my husband was like, "That's a flat out assassination attempt. Trump was trying to assassinate Joe Biden. Did you see how much he was yelling and spitting?
Like, I had that thought, not the assassination attempt, but I had that thought of they knew he had it, and they were like, "Well, I already have it. Let's try to give it to the Biden campaign too, and see where the chips land." There's, it's see where the chips fall. There's no, there's no how will it hurt us? So I would not. I would not be surprised if they went in knowing they had it and went, fuck it. But I don't know about assassination.
I would actually put it more, and this goes right along this administration's previous modus operandi. I would put it more in the magical thinking category, and the just la 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 la. I can't see or hear it. It's fine, because he went to a big fundraiser. We know he had a positive. He had a positive test result when he went to that fundraiser.
What's weird to me is we haven't heard, and I want to know if there's any contact tracing being done on that fundraiser, because there were 100 people there at least, I believe, that each donated minimum $250,000 to his campaign. And I believe they were mostly all men. So these were mostly all rich old white guys.
Yep.
These are in the at-risk category.
You say that so gleefully. They were at risk.
I mean, I was trying to punctuate, but sure, let's say I was being gleeful. But why would you? Debbie Riddick just asked, "What's Celestia's podcast name?" It is Squaring the Strange, and Squaring the Strange. And it's I want to let you guys know, because I'm sure, I've had other people on the podcast that are on my live stream that does not have a name yet. It's just kind of the live stream. I've had other people on here who you guys have heard of, who there are podcasts that are kind of ubiquitous within the skeptic universe. I'm having Celestia on, number one, because I love her. Number two, because I've shared so many of. Simon has entered the chat. Number two, because I've shared so many of her statuses that have just been so spot on and have managed to contextualize the pandemic in a way that I think helps people understand it so well, that I want more people to know who you are and to go check out your podcast. And I think it's I want some more eyeballs on your work. So that's
thank you.
That's why I brought you on. That's why I'm like, Celestia is coming on here. More people need to you do a rational well.
Well, thank you. Well, I've been into skepticism for ages, but I've only been doing this podcast for the past 3 years with Ben Radford and Pascual Romero. And sometimes my job on there is just forming metaphors and putting things into layman's terms. And really, as a cartoonist, that's what cartoonists do. Yeah. We use metaphors a lot. We just draw them. Yeah. And so I think all cartoons kind of have that ability to kind of, okay, I'm looking at this big technical thing. How can I boil it down to a simple image or a simple
bring it to something that makes it more understandable. And it's that's the thing with SciComm as a whole. I'm a decent scientist, but I'm also not I'm not explaining. My background is in forensics and analytical chemistry. I'm not 98% of the time, I'm not explaining shit about forensics or analytical chem. I'm kind of going through research, figuring it out to a point where I understand it and going, how can I make this understandable for people that don't, that haven't scienced since they were 15? And that just involves, as you said, a lot of metaphor. So it's more a problem of communication than it is a problem about science, I think, when it comes to this kind of stuff.
And that's even the problem with scientists in general doing SciComm, is that it's impossible to have one human brain absorb all the different facets of science. There's so many different. Yeah, I mean, I was president of my science club in high school, and I went to Johns Hopkins as an undergrad, and I was pre-med for about as long as it took me to realize I don't want to be a doctor. And then I jumped over to the dark side of liberal arts, and then I became an academic editor, and then I was an editor for 10 years, and then I jumped into everything, cartooning. So I have a really weird background, but it kind of grounded me pretty well for hosting a podcast about weird shit. I mean, we got to talk to a paleontologist last week and a field investigator about baby lake monsters. We get
baby lake monsters.
Baby lake monsters.
Baby lake monsters. So
baby lake monsters.
Are these real lake monsters, or are these discussions about hypothetical lake monsters that people are imagining? Like, are these lake monsters? Are these as real as the COVID herd immunity that we're working on?
Well, in some cases, you can touch them. You can put them in a jar and pickle them.
Okay.
And if you don't know what it is, you might label it a lake monster, and then you might lose it, and you might write a book about it, even though you don't have the specimen itself. There's a whole long backstory. You can just listen to the episode.
People are curious about what a baby lake monster is, so I'm hoping that people will go and check out the podcast. Leanne Mary just linked to it. So guys, go check out the podcast.
Thank you. Yes, come join us. We got a really cool one coming up about the history of talking to the dead. And I go into
that's exciting.
The feminist tendrils that we're playing about in spiritualism in the turn of the century. It's really interesting stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The first woman to run for president was actually a spiritualist way back in the 1800s.
Part of me is going, I wonder, it's more than likely the first men that ran for president were also spiritualists.
Well, this lady was a little bit cuckoo bananas too. So, and she was, in fact, she made Frederick Douglass her running mate, but he didn't know it.
Wow. That's you almost got to applaud for the fucking audacity. Like, crazy pants. Well, but my dog is not okay with my bark. He's very. My dog is just getting very mad that I'm applauding. Buddy, I'm going to applaud and see if you come back and growl again.
Yeah. I had a blast researching all of the different ways that people have talked to the dead or thought they've been talking to the dead over the past couple centuries, but that'll be coming out closer to Halloween.
We had on my other thing where I talk at the screen on my porncast, we had someone on, a very sweet porn star who believed in psychics, and I tried to talk her through the kinds of tricks that psychics use to it's like the cold readings, the hot readings, like you remember the hits, not the misses. And at the end she's like, but I had psychics that knew things. I'm like, girl, next time you go, count all the times that they fucking miss. And it's just, I felt so bad because this person's spending money on a thing that it's just it breaks my heart when I meet someone who believes in this and is spending money on it, because it's you what these people are feeding on is there's an emotional need to either connect with a dead relative or to find something that they should be getting in therapy, and these psychics are just like, aha, money. And it's just
and there's a mix. There's people who are out and out frauds, and there's a guy named Bob Nygaard who goes after these people, who's a private investigator, and he helps people sue and get these people brought up on charges, because there's fraud. These are fraudulent people who are going after vulnerable victims. And then there's people who honestly believe that they've got superpowers. Believe it.
White girls named Skylar who run yoga studios and think that they're psychics. I'm an empath, and I know that there's magic in the world. Like those girls.
Can I tell a college psychic story?
Yes. Please do.
Okay, I dressed up as a fortune teller one year for Halloween when I was like a sophomore or junior or something, and I kind of hung out with various people at fraternities and sororities. And a couple weeks before that, I had witnessed this guy who I didn't know, but he had a very particular look. I recognized him. He was hitting on my friend Jeannie, and he was drunk off of his ass. And he's like, oh, it would never work anyway because my mother's name is Jeannie, and I don't know if I could scream that in bed. And he hitting on my friend Jeannie in a very crude way.
Sounds
and not very. I didn't say he was doing a good job of it. He was just trying.
Yeah.
And the information I gleaned from that was that his mother's name was Jeannie. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy didn't know me. I was way across the room, but I was just kind of keeping an eye because if Jeannie needed me, I was going to go help her. Yeah. And so a couple weeks later at Halloween, I'm dressed as a fortune teller, and I had a little bag of cool little rocks that I figured I could use as a prop. And, he's like, hello, I'm so-and-so. I was like, oh, hi, I'm Celeste. Choose a rock and I will tell your fortune. And he picks the white rock. He picked the white rock, and I was like, the white rock that represents innocence and childhood. And I'm seeing you as a child, and your mother's in the kitchen. She's doing something. Her name is Jeannie. And he
hot reading. He had no idea.
Unintentional hot reading. I was just using what I got. And he freaked out, like ran around the house, freaked out. How did you know that? How did you know that? Nobody. And he's like, nobody here at this party knows what my mother's name is. He called his mother, and this was back when long distance cost money. He called his mother. She didn't know anything about it, obviously. And finally, by the end of the night, I was like, look, here's how I knew this thing. And don't start thinking, somebody who's got special powers just because they know a thing.
There's never look, if ever there is a thing that makes you believe psychic abilities are real, stop and question why, what has happened. There is something that happened behind the scenes here that you didn't see, because there is almost no chance that this is psychic ability. Like my friend Z, he's going to be on here in a few weeks, and I might have told this story before on here. It was either on here or my other podcast. I forget where I've told which story, which is why I end up telling stories multiple times. But he's a magician, and he went to he went to a convention for like mentalists and for people who thought they had psychic powers. And he's listening to, and they're telling people how to hone their natural inborn psychic abilities. And he can do a trick where he asks someone, name a color, a place, a number, and he pulls a piece of paper out of his pocket, and it looks like he has precognition, and those were written down before. And I know the method he uses for this, and it looks like, if you don't know the method that he uses for this, it looks to all like to high heavens like he knew the name, number, person that you were thinking, but like you're sitting there in fucking shock. Now, a group of people thought he had real psychic powers and sort of following him around all weekend. And at the end of the weekend, he came clean and told them, no, guys, I'm a magician. It was a trick. I do that trick. I can show you it's a trick. Okay. And half the people were mad because he'd lied to them, and half the people were mad that he lied to them about having psychic powers. And the other half were mad because why is he lying to them now? Because and saying he doesn't have psychic powers because his psychic powers are real, obviously. Why is he trying to pretend they're not real? They know what they saw.
Yeah, apparently James Randi used to have that problem. He used to have people argue with him over, no, you really are psychic. You just don't want to admit it or whatever. And
so weird.
Penn Jillette, have you seen Penn and Teller live ever?
I 8 times.
Okay,
I've friend. I think I paid for the show once. The other times I've just been in town, and Penn's like, here are tickets.
I've probably been like 25
nice.
times. And
it's when
I did a little bit of artwork for them way back when. Nice. They always send something really cool to their inner circle as a Christmas gift.
Oh yeah.
And I wish I don't have it right next to me. I could have pulled it up.
Teller's what was it, the Christmas card from Teller?
Oh, Teller always does an amazing Christmas card. But one year I sculpted like a little bas relief cartoon version of them that they put on plaques, and they gave to like their inner circle of like 20, 30 people or whatever. And so I kind of got it in there, and I started seeing their show a lot, which I had followed them and been a big fan before. Yeah. But Penn, reason I brought this up is because Penn has this routine that he has done a lot. Where he passes out joke books. Have you seen that one?
That is one of my. It was funny. I brought that up on the podcast to the girl that was like, "Psychic powers are real." I'm like, Penn Jillette does this routine at the same time.
And his patter. I love his patter.
His patter is the same every time. The joke is different every time.
Yes.
If I had only seen this once, I would think they were using plants. I've seen it 8 times. You've seen it 25 times. It's different person in the audience every time. It's a different joke every time. It's different books every time.
Well, and the way they pass it around, they just have the audience decide. Yeah. Whoever I hand this to, you hand it to somebody, they hand it to somebody, they hand it to somebody. Yeah. It's so random and chaotic. There's no way they could ever work on it.
They're being passed. And I'm guessing that because me and a couple other people who are, who've been in the friend groups have kind of tried to figure out how they use it. And they think that it has something to do with the stage manager has something to do with it because she's kind of running around out back and talking quietly into the microphone. So we're trying to figure out what they're doing, at least for the hot read for it. The cold read, it's he's going through kind of a list of things. And I'm curious but you know what? Whatever they're doing, as Penn has said over and over again, it's a trick.
Yeah.
I've learned how he has the thing with the air gun and the nails.
Yeah.
I know how he does that.
Oh my God. Okay.
It used to terrify me. And once I found out how it was done, I stopped being terrified.
Good. Okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. It's a terrifying looking thing, isn't it?
Well,
the way they do it is so incredible.
Well, he did the thing where he said he was measuring the weight of playing cards. He goes, "This is ambiguous. You guys can think I'm doing a magic trick. If you think I'm doing a magic trick, it's just a trick. If you think I'm doing a juggling trick, there's a lot of skill involved." And I'm a fan of the juggling artist.
Oh yeah.
So of course I've had a crush on Penn since I was in high school.
Right.
But the thing that I love about the joke book trick, which he does in the audience, is part of his patter is he says, "Now I've just read back to you a joke from a 1974 joke book about a guy's mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine that it's not a joke. I want you to imagine that it's something deeply important to you.
It's something someone's dead relative.
Something your dead relative told you. Something a loved one. Something about your recent raw loss as a human being." You know, he goes into all this stuff.
Imagine if I was using this trick instead of to demonstrate that it's a trick, to hit that nerve of yours and make money off of your grief.
Basically. He slices. He slices.
And along with this amazing magic show, they demonstrate the moral bankruptcy of psychics, and I think that's a wonderful thing. That is one of the wonderful things that we got out of the show Bullshit and out of their live show is, hey, here's something. They kind of should, they use it as an attempt to show the moral bankruptcy of people who use these tricks without admitting that they're using tricks, and that's I think part of the reason why we take so much joy in the skeptic community and their work.
Yes. Yeah. It redeems it's fighting for it's being a hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then Susan Gerbic and Mark Edward with what they've done.
I love
Operation Peach Pit and Operation Pizza Roll. And they got it written up in the New York Times last year.
That they managed to get a hot to give the audience a quick recap on Operation Pizza Roll. Basically, they infiltrated a forum. So Susan Gerbic was the one that ended up going to the hot reading. They infiltrated a forum for this one skeptic and dropped a bunch of hints that this person was going to be going who wanted to contact X, Y, and Z person. And here's the thing. Susan did not enter the forum. Other people did and dropped the hints that she wanted to contact X, Y, and Z person. And that way it would be double blind. So she was just going to go in and say yes to everything that the skeptic suggested. So he goes in and, asks for this person in the audience. They used a fake name for her. Yeah. So she says yes. And basically he starts dropping all these things that were specific, did this person, did Scott, whatever, did you have a Scott in your life? Yes, of course. These are things that were dropped in the forum for him to pick up on. And it was just, they caught him fucking red-handed doing a hot read from a forum that was for his follower. And it was just, it's incredible that there are still people who believe in the God. Once you have belief, it's kind of like what happened with my friend Z. It's impossible to tell people that it's not real. And I don't know how we get rid of that.
It was brilliant because the fallback to that a lot of psychics have used is, oh, well, I was just reading your thoughts, and in your thoughts you had your phony ID, and that's why I reached out to your imaginary mother because I was reading your thoughts. And she didn't know what her backstory was. So it was blind to her, the person managing her fake Facebook thing. And I think they picked great. She had a dead twin brother. What show psychic is going to let a dead twin pass them by? If they see that on the Facebook page, they're like, I'm reading that person. Yeah. And so, he had all this information. It was just a brilliant catch. And that particular write-up in the New York Times has convinced a lot of people who otherwise would have remained marks for their entire lives.
Yeah, go check it out. It's Susan Gerbic is, if you don't know of her, folks, she's incredible skeptic. She runs, I don't know if runs is the right word, but she's kind of the head of Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia, and does a ton of work on making all those little edits to make sure that Wikipedia is accurate on things that people would have common misconceptions on. I love her and her partner Mark Edwards so much, and they do amazing work. Anyways, we are getting about up to the 2-hour mark. Let's get some closing remarks. So guys, wear masks, wash your hands. The president's a fuck up. There's still time for his case to get worse. I mean, we're rooting for his good health.
Yeah.
It's like it's vote. Like it's if you're in a swing state, especially like you're it because I grew up in New Hampshire, and Nevada and New Hampshire are oddly similar politically. Just
Okay.
like because they're both purple states, both have this kind of air of libertarianism
We
to
got a lot of
them. Very, very,
we're old West, and you guys are
yeah.
old colonial.
Yeah, but it's very don't touch my guns, give me, live.
Yeah.
I mean, New Hampshire. I didn't realize how live free or die. Like I understood that was the that was
Motto, yeah.
the motto, but like you're 7, you don't understand what that's a. But yeah, like in terms of politics, in terms of being blue or red, like what the way the wind blows in the states, they're kind of similar. But I hope Nevada goes blue this time because I don't think I can handle another. It went blue last time, right?
It did, and I'm quite convinced that the reason it did is because Trump had a big rally here in 2016 and called it Nevada.
Oh,
and then there was like kissing and stuff in the audience. He goes, "I know it's called Nevada. I'll get it right. It's Nevada." And yeah, he tends to do that. He doubles down on anything wrong.
Oh man,
and insists that it's right. So,
jeez.
Anyway, yes. Remember to fact check, but beyond fact check, make sure your facts aren't cherry picked.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Makes media literacy. We'll fix it all in 1-2 hour. No, we won't. Anyways,
yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm on. You can find me on the Squaring the Strange discussion podcast group on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, Celestia Ward. You can find me on Squaring the Strange bi-weekly podcast doing it's kind of a break from politics, although we sometimes get into it a little bit where we try not to. We talk about cryptids and psychological weird stuff and hoaxes. I've got a military historian friend of mine who I'm going to try and get on to talk about sham warfare and the Ghost Brigade.
Oh,
I'm hoping that will happen soon, but we got a whole lot we just don't run out of bullshit. There's so many strange things out there to talk about.
Right. And you're on Twitter too, right?
I am on Twitter, Celestia Ward. Yes.
Good times. All right.
And Instagram, Celestia Ward.
Nice. And people, is your cartooning on there?
Lots of it. Yeah.
Nice. Folks, go check that out. All right. It is the end of our time here. I am sweating underneath the bright lights of my corner in the attic. I love you guys. Wash your hands. Wear your masks. I will see you probably later today when I post more stuff, but definitely by Friday for our next stream. All right. I will see you guys all later.